It was a dozen years ago that the Everett Sports Center Mets from the Concord National League won the Hilliker Cup, giving longtime manager Mike Sartorelli his first city championship in 28 years of managing in the league. Many of this year's Mets team weren't even born back in 1999. The Mets players are extremely focused on bringing the Mets their first city championship since that miraculous 1999 season. The hard-swinging Mets advanced to the Hilliker Cup by defeating Jolinus Excavating of the Pennacook Little League 13-1 in their semifinal game. The Mets will send powerful Chris Pinkham to the mound to duel hard-throwing Matt LaTourette from the Concord Northeast League champions Banks Chevrolet. Banks Chevrolet defeated the Eagles from the Concord American League 13-4 to advance to the Hilliker Cup final. The teams are geared up for another epic battle for the coveted Hilliker Cup trophy, given each year to the City of Concord Little League champion. It's the Everett Sports Center Mets versus Banks Chevrolet for the prize Paul Hilliker Cup trophy. It's coming your way next on Concord Community Television, Channel 6.
Welcome to the 2011 Paul Hilliker Memorial Cup Championship game from Grapponi Park in beautiful Concord, New Hampshire. It is time to determine supremacy in Concord Little League Baseball once again in the tradition that is none other than the Hilliker Cup. And this year we have the champions from the Concord National League, the Davison Toll, Morrill and Everett Mets, against the champions from Concord Northeast, Banks Chevrolet. Let's meet the defensive lineman for the home team, the Mets, here in this contest. At first base, Jack Philbrick. The second baseman is Isabel Stoddard. The shortstop is Sam Pratt. And Gus Hirschfeld is over at third. In left field, there's Grayson Goulet. The center fielder is Mitchell Feltham. Devin Philbrick is in right. Catching for the Mets is Eli Boyle. And on the mound for this championship game, right-hander Chris Pinkham. I'm Mike Murphy, pleased to be joined by the coach, Gary Ford. It was 1 year ago today that Concord Orthopedics, your team, won the Hilliker Cup, but glad to have you by my side here for 2011.
I'm glad to be here, Mike. It was fun last year, and it's exciting after you do it to see other teams get in and know what they're feeling out there.
Well, we're going to certainly dip into that to figure out the emotions and the strategy that goes into it. First, let's introduce the coaches of the two teams. First, for the visiting Banks Chevrolet team, the manager is Todd Haywood, and he's assisted by Fred Maloney and Dan Tobin. And for the Mets, the manager is Greg Stoddard. Assistant coach Tim Pratt is here, and assistant coach Mike Sartorelli is not here. And we are certainly, we're worse off for his absence, but we congratulate the Mets on reaching this championship game for the first time since 1999, a game that is near and dear to Mike Sartorelli's heart. Undefeated team that particular season, and it wasn't easy in the finals either.
No.
They were in a battle against Pennacook Community Center, and a young man by the name of Andrew Broder came through to get the final out late in that game as the Mets finished an 18-0 season, a 4-0 lead late in the game on the strong pitching of Dan Pratt and their potent offense, and it went down to that final batter where the seldom used 10-year-old pitcher Andrew Broder recorded the final out, and after some encouraging words, of course, from Coach Sartorelli.
And he was a 10-year-old that year too, Mike, and that's almost unheard of in the Hilliker Cup.
As is the Mets in the finals, but here they are after a 12-year absence, and Mike could not be here today due to a very important other obligation, that is high school graduation at Concord High. So we congratulate all those graduating, and of course the Concord High baseball team playing in the state championship game in its own right later today. But this is the Hilliker Cup. Leading it off for Banks Chevrolet is Matt Burke against Chris Pinkham. And the first pitch, a fastball strike, and whatever nerves are there for Chris Pinkham, he just let it all hang out right there.
Matt is a grandson of Tom Burke, who's been coaching Little League for a number of years up at Merrimack Valley Little League.
And after that first pitch strike, he was just off that next pitch, fouled it straight back. So it's 0-2 on Burke, who will be playing first base for Banks today. Sun just peeking out as we get underway at the 0-2. Took something off. It's hit hard right back through the middle. A leadoff hit for Burke, fielded by Feltham in center field. That'll bring up Connor Haywood, who's the Banks catcher.
Also the son of Todd Haywood, who is the manager of the team.
Just mentioned Concord High School and graduation and state championship game. The connection between these two managers goes back to Concord High School, as the first pitch gets away from Eli Boyle and allowing the runner to move to second base. So Burke now in scoring position as the count goes to 1-0 on Haywood. But 1986, the graduation year of Todd Haywood, the manager of Banks, and Greg Stoddard, the manager of the Mets. That one just outside. Yeah,
Yep.
So the hitter now has the count in his favor. Remember, it was 0-2 when Burke singled up the middle. Now it's a 2-0 count to Haywood. Great backhand stop that time. Plate umpire for this one is Mick Lacasse and Joe Russell, the umpire on the base paths. 3-0 for Pinkham. Here is the pitch. And that one gets away. It's ball 4, so it's a walk. But more importantly for Banks Chevrolet, the alert base running of Burke allows him to take third.
No, Matt LaTourette, he hit it out of the park the other night in the first round of the Hilliker Cup game. Had a nice home run.
He's a 12-year-old. He will be pitching today for Banks, so this is a chance to help his own cause right off the bat. First and third, nobody. Out there is strike one. Runner takes off and steals second, so that takes the double play out of the equation. Haywood now at second base after the steal. Burke at third. Nobody out top of the first inning, just underway, and Banks Chevrolet is threatening. Off the outside corner, off the glove of Boyle. Runner comes halfway home, but wisely thinks better of it, Gary. Because I tell you what, Eli Boyle got to that ball in a nanosecond. And Pinkham alertly was at home plate too. The runner wouldn't have had much of a chance. Now, Pinkham could use a strikeout. He's ahead 0-2 on LaTourette. Hard hit ball, base hit right field. That scores Burke. Haywood rounding third. He will score as well, sliding in safely. And when the throw goes wild, LaTourette, after the 2-run single, scoots up to second base. It's 2-0 Banks. Well, what a start, Gary, for Banks Chevrolet.
Yes.
First 3 reached, first 2 have scored, and now LaTourette stands at second.
It's always it seems to be a factor in the Hilliker Cup for the away team to go up front first and bat. I know it was for us. We were away in the Hilliker Cup, and we got 3 runs right off the bat and started sailing after that.
Gabe Tobin takes strike one. Tobin is the center fielder. Well, let's go back to that. How much pressure do you think it takes off kids this age to have their early lead?
I think it takes a lot of pressure off, because it seems like it's
This one's popped up in the infield. Good job calling the ball by the shortstop, Sam Pratt. He makes the catch, and there's the all-important first out.
Exactly. And it seems like it's a catches on to the other kids. One kid hit, another one hits, and seems to go that way usually in a right off the bat. If the first kid hit, and then it continues on down the line.
Here's the shortstop, Colin Maloney. First pitch strike. Well, for Pinkham's part, we'll say this. Other than the second batter, Haywood, where he fell behind, he's been throwing strikes and doesn't seem rattled at all that it's already 2-0. He's been hard a couple of times.
Interesting fact about Chris is that he pitched in as relief in both Hilliker Cup games that his team played for last year. He was on the Marlins last year, which Marlins is no longer in existence down in the National League, so he got drafted by the Mets.
So he's been in these pressure-packed situations before.
Yes.
Now he's ahead 0-2 on Maloney. Took something off, and with the change, strikes him out looking. First strikeout for Pinkham. 2 outs here in the first. Big pitch, big out. You know, much like getting those early runs has got to feed the confidence of Banks. Once you have that pop out by Tobin, maybe the Mets can relax a little bit. Here's Stephen McGrath. McGrath takes strike one. He's the left fielder for Banks. Runner now alertly takes third. A close play, but sliding in under the tag is LaTourette. That's a late stolen base scare. That's not one you don't usually call for as a manager, do you?
No.
But it puts him just down the line from the third run, the 0-1 pitch. Just high, as indicated by Mick Lacasse. 1 ball, 1 strike. Crowd filling in very nicely here at Grapponi Park, this beautiful stadium that's decided so many Hilliker Cup championships.
One thing with the pitching, Mike, too, is that the pitchers, as 11 and 12-year-olds, are only allowed to pitch 85 pitches a game. So when they reach their max, they have to leave the game, and another child has to go in and pitch.
It's a 1-2 count on McGrath. Pinkham deals. And he strikes him out. So, Banks Chevrolet strikes with 2 runs as their first 3 reach, but Chris Pinkham bounces back with 2 strikeouts, and after a half inning, it is Banks 2 and the Mets coming up in the 2011 Hilliker Cup Championship. Let's check the defense now for Banks Chevrolet, champions of Concord Northeast. The first baseman is Matt Burke. Ryan Martell is at second base. Colin Maloney is the shortstop. And Josh Adams is at third. Stephen McGrath gets the start in left field. Gabe Tobin is in center field. And the right fielder is Chris Fields. Connor Haywood is behind the plate. And the starting pitcher for Banks is right-hander Matt LaTourette. And as we come to the bottom of the first inning, LaTourette's the reason why his team has a 2-0 lead. We can look back. Top of the first inning, 2 on, nobody out, and a solid hit into right field, able to score both Matt Burke and Connor Haywood. So we'll see if he alleviates some of the pressure on himself, Gary, as he takes the mound here.
Matt LaTourette the other day pitched at least the first and if not part of the second inning. With the pitch count rules, if you pitch less than 35, you have to have 2 days, 1 day's rest, which was yesterday, and he's able to come back and pitch a whole 85 pitches again today. So it was a strategy that Banks Chevrolet used for the best pitcher, and it worked for him.
When we talk about the Hilliker Cup, we're talking about all of Concord Little League with the American League, which Coach Ford is very familiar, the National League, where the Mets are champions, Merrimack Valley, and Concord Northeast. What's unique about this game is that these 2 teams did not face each other during the regular season.
That's right.
Oftentimes, you'll get a rematch.
Yes. See, we do a lot of interleague play in American with National and Merrimack Valley, so we see those teams throughout the year at least once. And it makes it fun.
Yeah. And Northeast has that air of mystery, I guess, because they haven't faced off against the Mets. So leading off, left-handed batter Isabel Stoddard, the second baseman. And first pitch strike delivered by LaTourette.
And she's the daughter of manager Greg Stoddard.
The 0-1 is upstairs, so it's a ball and a strike. Third baseman Adams playing in just in case Isabel has the idea of laying down a bunt.
She's a very good hitter. We faced the Mets in the regular season, and she hit the ball well. I imagine that's why she's in the first batting position.
And she's been patient. She's taken a few pitches. Now it's a count of 1-2. Has to be selective here. Ground ball third base and off the glove of the drawn-in infielder Adams. So she's safe at first, takes the wide turn and will stay there. Alert backup by the shortstop Maloney. So that's the cat and mouse game you play. You try to bring the infielder in, and all of a sudden that ball gets to you in a hurry at the hot corner. So Stoddard aboard, and here is Chris Pinkham. We saw Pinkham with 2 strikeouts in the top of the first inning. Now chance to exact some revenge against LaTourette, who drove in those 2 runs.
And Pinkham can hit the HR balls as well.
Well, he was thinking that on one that he probably should have taken.
Yes.
You can hear Gary Ford from his vantage point and said, why not? We're on TV. Well, only strike 1, so it's 0-1.
So we tell the kids with, so we give them 3.
He gets a hold of that one and hits it right in the gap of left center field. Stoddard is rounding third base. She's on her way. Tobin has to get it in. It deflects off the glove of the shortstop, and that will allow Pinkham to come all the way around and tie this game at 2.
Just like that, guys. Keep it going.
And that's when I said the home run, I meant out of the park, Mike, but he shows he can do the in the park home run as well.
Things can change in a hurry.
Oh, yes, they can. That's Little League Baseball.
And it's a 2-2 ball game, still nobody out. And And Eli Boyle comes up. But what we saw there is an example of why it's so important to preach. Hit the cutoff. Everything's got to work.
That's right.
Once the ball's in play, anything can happen. Boyle is the catcher for the Mets. And takes the first pitch for a called strike. Well, forget all that talk about maybe more pressure on the team that gave up a couple of early runs.
That's right.
We're squeaky clean again. New ball game. Got jammed there, and a ground ball hit softly to the pitcher. In fact, the pitcher says he'll take it himself.
He wanted to handle the whole job by himself, Mike, and that's fine.
Defensive swing by Boyle, and Lazarette. I guess at that point he wanted to get that first out. Nothing against his first baseman, Matt Burke, but he says, I'll take this one. One down, and here's Gus Hirschfeld, the third baseman. 2-2 score in the first inning. First one's inside for a ball, 1-0.
Mick Lacasse, the umpire behind the plate, he's been involved in this league at least 15 years, doing a number of games over the years. Also coached a number of teams for us as well.
There's ball 2. Well, you don't give the home plate job to just anybody when it comes to the finals. You got to have the best of the best.
And Mick is right up there, and he does a fabulous job.
It's a 2-ball, no strike count. And there is a strike call. Makes it 2-1. Nice breeze here today.
Yes.
Grapponi Park. Shifting as well, not necessarily blowing out, but the flags indicate if you get one up there, you can get one out of here. And now it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count as Lazarette fought back to even things on Hirschfeld with Sam Pratt, the shortstop, on deck.
I think we're seeing two of the best pitchers in the city today, Mike, and that's always fun to see. A lot of times teams will use their first pitcher in that first round of Hilliker Cup game and have to go with the second or third best. But today, I think we're seeing the best of the best today.
Which is exactly what you want.
Yes.
It'll be another 2-2 to Hirschfeld with 1 out, nobody aboard. There's strike 3. First strikeout for Lazarette. 2 outs. And I tell you what, Gary, I'll go back to what you just said. When you have the best of the best, it isn't just the physical attributes, it's the ability to shake off what just occurred.
That's right. And then these 12-year-olds have done that all year long, and they're doing it today. 2 runs, so what? We'll plug away next.
Here's Sam Pratt. Strike 1. Because if you're Lazarette or Pinkham, you have a reason to believe you're the best pitcher and your team's the best.
That's right.
Because up until now, no one's proved otherwise. And quickly ahead 0-2 on Pratt. Very similar to the top of the first inning. As the lineup progresses, the pitcher seems to gain in confidence. That one's down in the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count. If Pratt can reach, Jack Philbrick, the first baseman, would get up for the Mets, who have rallied to tie things 2-2 here in the first. We play 6 innings to determine the champion of this one. Strike 3, although tips off the catcher's mitt for the final out. Gus Hirschfeld struck out looking. Sam Pratt goes down swinging, and after 2 runs score, Lazarette retires 3 in a row. After 1 inning, it's Bank Chevrolet 2 and the Davis & Toll Morrill and Everett Mets 2 in the 2011 Hilliker Cup Championship. Ryan Martell leads things off here in the top of the second inning for Bank Chevrolet, and the first pitch from Pinkham is outside, ball 1.
What I liked about Pinkham was as soon as the inning was over with, the fielders weren't even off the field for Banks, and he was already out in the mound. He wanted to be out there, Coach.
And the 1-0 is a strike, basically saying this is my turf now.
Yeah.
Boys, get off the field. Eager to get out there and face the bottom third of the Bank Chevrolet order here. 1-1 to Martell. Drops down a bunt. Nice idea.
Foul.
Tell you what, if that's fair, he's on base, because that's a good bunt.
That's right. So you want a little bit over there on the right field line, but fair.
So now it's 1-2, Pinkham ahead. And there's his third straight strikeout, one away here in the second inning of a 2-2 ball game. These teams both getting here in impressive fashion. Most recently, the Mets beat Merrimack Valley's Jolinas Excavating 13-1 Wednesday night. And Thursday night, Bank Chevrolet with a 13-4 win over the Concord American League Eagles. First pitch swinging, popped foul by right fielder Chris Fields. And that is behind the third base dugout. Strike one on Bank's right fielder. Well, now the crowd is certainly filled in. Late arriving, the 10 o'clock start time,
That's right.
Gary. Not everybody is an early bird like you and I.
Yeah, that's true, Mike.
Another healthy cut
Another
there
one
by Fields.
over the building. We brought out plenty of baseballs today, so we know the foul balls happen in Little League.
So the count is 0-2. Pinkham has been on a nice roll now. Shakes off his catcher Boyle. And now they reach an agreement.
Another one over the building.
He's taking shots, I think, at the 5th annual silent auction tent to benefit the Children's Hospital of Dartmouth. It's Jay Swimer and his group back there for Fred's Fun. Some great sports memorabilia. That's become just as part of the tradition of the Hilliker Cup as the baseball here in front.
Good thing the tent's over there. Usually I park my car over there, Mike.
The change up, but just missed. 1-2. Well, if you have a broken windshield or a dent, you wear it as a badge of honor. When it comes
That's right.
From a Hilliker
That's
Cup
right.
ball, you know what I mean? Got him looking.
Got him
so
looking on the third strike.
good at bat by Fields, so
Yes,
nothing to be
yes.
ashamed of. But he becomes the 4th straight strikeout victim for Chris Pinkham. After the first 3 for Banks had reached in the first inning, 2 of them scoring. Now we have the number 9 batter, left-handed hitting third baseman, Josh Adams. Starts in with a called strike in the fastball, so it's 0-1. Third baseman Hirschfeld in on the grass. First baseman Philbrook right at the bag. One ball, one strike. One of the things that I find so refreshing about Little League Baseball is the nonstop encouragement from your team's dugout when you're at the plate. Probably catch that at home too, as the Bank Chevrolet team is right up on the fence cheering on Adams. Big swing, comes up empty this time. And that means Pinkham is 1 strike away from striking out the side. 1-2 the count in this 2-2 ball game. Inside, 2-2. Well, it's important because if Adams gets on, you've got Matt Burke, who started this game with a single and later scored, coming up. And Pinkham and the Mets certainly want him leading off the inning and not coming up with a man on base.
That's exactly right.
2-2. Struck him out swinging.
No worries right there. And Banks will begin next time up with the top of the order.
And Chris Pinkham will look for better luck against that part of the order, but no problem at all here as he strikes out the side. And after 1.5 innings, it remains the Mets 2 and Bank Chevrolet 2 in the 2011 Hilliker Cup. Well, everybody comes out for the Hilliker Cup, Gary, even the legend himself, Tom Burke, kicking back in the shade. How do you get a nice seat like that? First pitch in the bottom of the second from Jack Philbrick, grounded to the shortstop, throw to first base, not in time, and Philbrick legs out, a leadoff infield single for the Mets. Now we kid about Coach Burke because he has such a tie to this game and to Little League baseball overall.
His grandson's over there playing first base right now, and this is a beautiful place to watch a game. There's all kinds of different avenues to enjoy it at.
Michael Feltham takes strike one. I just find the irony of a man whose life was devoted to transportation just kicking back and not moving. So keep it up, Coach Burke. Big swing and a miss. Nice velocity from La Tourette after the leadoff single. Philbrick at first. 0-2 the count on Michael Feltham, the center fielder.
Michael was also one that played in the Hilliker Cup final last year for the Marlins as well. So this is his second appearance. Getting back to Tom, he's done a lot of wonderful things for the Pennacook community.
Stolen base turned in nicely by Philbrick. Big slide because the throw from Connor Haywood was a darn good one.
Yes, that was.
So even with the strikeout of Feltham, the third strikeout for La Tourette, the Mets do get the go-ahead run into scoring position with one out for the number 8 batter. He's the left fielder, Grayson Goulet.
Let's go, Grayson!
So the first one's up high, and you have to be careful with Philbrick. Over on the base paths, he's certainly daring, and so far so good. He beat out the infield hit, stole second base in a close play. We're looking for anything that gets away from Haywood to perhaps take third. Strike called. 1 ball, 1 strike. When you talked about the last batter, Feltham, and everybody else who's been here before, Gary, what does it say? What does it mean to actually have been here before in terms of your preparation for getting back a second time?
I think you come in expecting a little bit more and knowing what's going to happen, what the feelings are, and I'm sure it gives better preparation for the kids too to prepare themselves, knowing especially with I'm sure in the nerves department. It ends up being just another regular baseball game. Of course, it's for all the marbles, but you just got to play like you have all year.
Strike 3 called, so Goulet goes down. Back-to-back strikeouts for La Tourette. Now 2 outs with Philbrick at second base, and it's Devin Philbrick, the right fielder, who will come up, the number 9 hitter for the Mets. Now, did you have a hard time when you were coaching last year convincing the kids this is just another game because of everything that surrounds it?
I was very fortunate with the kids I had. They just liked to play whenever. They didn't look ahead. They didn't look behind. They just went out in that game and put their hearts out on the field and played their best, which I think was a good thing. I mean, they were loose coming into every game. So that's what you got to be when you get to this point.
It's a 0-1 pitch. Now it's 0-2 on Philbrick. Devin the batter. Jack at second base. Mets here in the bottom of the second of a 2-2 game, trying to take the lead for the first time.
I've been very fortunate and had a lot of wonderful young men over the years, and a few young ladies too play baseball.
Well, young lady Isabel Stoddard will have to wait till next inning to bat for the Mets as Philbrick strikes out. La Tourette shakes off the leadoff single to strike out 3 in a row. And now we're through 2 innings with the score still the Mets 2 and Bank Chevrolet 2 in the 2011 Hilliker Cup Championship game. Top half of inning number 3 in the 2011 Hilliker Cup Championship game, along with the coach Gary Ford. I'm Mike Murphy. Hands-on video extraordinary Dave Hand, high above all of us in more ways than one. Matt Burke leads off for Bank Chevrolet against Chris Pinkham. Pinkham takes ball 1. Now, I wonder if Pinkham told his teammates, don't bother bringing your gloves out here. I have this now. 5 straight strikeouts for the young right-hander. But this is the part of the order that got Banks on the board in the first.
There he goes. He delivers. Another first strike.
Yeah, Burke a single and a run scored in the first. When Banks jumped ahead 2-0, only to see the Mets even the score in the home half of the first. Now, here in the third, top third of the order. 2 balls and a strike. Much warmer now than when we started.
Yes,
Not sure what kind of impact that'll have on the kids, but certainly impacts us.
Yeah. I said it's a great atmosphere to watch a game. You got the regular stands, you got people outside over there by the fence and up on the rocks, and the kids are up there waiting for their home run ball to catch.
It all comes together here at Croponi Park. 2-2 the count on Matt Burke. Love that changeup, but just a little bit high.
That's right.
Almost unfair to the kids. They're
Yeah.
looking for that fastball, and all of a sudden, it'll be a 3-2 pitch. Big strikeout for Pinkham. The pitching has been exceptional, not only because of the strikeouts, because that's 6 for Pinkham. Bob Tourette has 5, but we haven't had many 3-2 counts, haven't had any walks yet.
No, they've been pitching a lot of strikes today, you want that to happen as a coach.
Here's Connor Haywood, takes ball 1 outside. And of course, when I say there haven't been any walks, I neglected to say Connor Haywood walked his first plate appearance, and that was a
Not
big
many,
walk.
not many though.
Not many walks, right.
When you have several in a row or several in an inning, that's the kids start to lose interest in the game.
It's 2-0. Haywood's walk important because he became the second run in that top of the first inning. Two and one the count, right across the letters. Something else I wanted to ask you about, Coach, is the slight rule differences between Concord National League and Concord Northeast, because one's Little League and one is Cal Ripken. As
Yes.
This check swing's a foul ball. What are the differences?
The major difference is that Cal Ripken does their pitching by innings, like Little League did up until 5-6 years ago. Little League does their pitching by pitch count, and like I said, 85 is the maximum for 11 or 12-year-old. If you pitch, there's so many levels. There's 35 and there's 65, and you have to have so many days of rest after that if you get to those limits. And but we do the pitch count here because it is on an American field. We host it, and Cal Ripken comes down and plays the Little League rules. So we're happy to have all 4 teams from the different leagues here playing this every year. Great tradition here.
Well, a little borderline pitch there. The 3-2 was called strike 3. Haywood was on his way to first thinking he had drawn a walk, and instead he had to turn around, do an about face, and walk back to the dugout. 2 outs in the third, and here is Matt LaTourette, the pitcher for Bank Chevrolet. Comes up with 2 outs and the base is empty. Takes strike 1, much different than the first inning. As we go back, he had 2 men on with nobody out, and he delivered a solid base hit to right field. Burke came home, Haywood behind him, and it was 2-0 for the Northeast champs. Now, 2-2 the count, or score rather, 0-1 the count on LaTourette. Now going back to the first inning, when you had single walk single, did you think that Chris Pinkham would be this much in command just 2 innings later?
In the back of my mind, I did, because I saw him during the season, and he's a very, very excellent pitcher up there, just like LaTourette is. And and that's what he did. He got control after that, and he said, "This is my game. I'm going to control it from the mound." So, yeah.
He has done just that. He's ahead 1 ball, 2 strikes on his counterpart, looking to strike out the side for the second consecutive inning and make it what would be an amazing 8 straight strikeouts and 9 outs in a row overall. The only fielded out, a pop out to shortstop Sam Pratt in the first inning off the bat of Gabe Tobin, who waits on deck. Change up inside, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Ball gets away from the catcher, but no harm done. Nobody on base.
Pinkham stands tall, right on top of the rubber. High heat. And I tell you what, LaTourette didn't miss it by much. He had a good, healthy swing at it. What a battle here. These teams pretty much demonstrating how even they are, both in pitching and the ability to get some runners on base and bring them home. Quick strike offenses followed by very good ace work on the mound. Fouled back.
Oh. Something I've been hit by that foul ball out there, but I just know it wasn't my car today, Mike.
That shows a veteran, somebody who's been around 15 years of Little League action here in Concord American League.
I do smell the grill that Tim Daniels is on, cooking the burgers over there in the concession stand.
And there is strike three. LaTourette knows he chased one out of the zone, but Pinkham has a way of making folks offer after pitches that they regret afterwards. That is a third straight strikeout here in the third, and overall 8 strikeouts for Pinkham through 2.5 innings. The score, Bank Chevrolet 2, and the Davis and Toll Morrill and Everett Mets 2. You're watching the 2011 Hilliker Cup Championship game. Bottom half of the third inning, still a 2-2 game, and Isabel Stoddard, the second baseman for the Mets. And the leadoff batter leads off against Matt LaTourette. We have some changes we'll tell you about in a moment. First pitch called strike one. New right fielder for Bank Chevrolet is Andrew Haggett. And the new left fielder is Harrison Hassel, replacing Chris Fields and Stephen McGrath, respectively. The 0-1 is high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Stoddard, a leadoff single, and she scored on the inside the park home run from Chris Pinkham to represent the 2 Mets runs in the first inning. Two balls and a strike. Good eye by Stoddard. You pointed this out last time she was up, Gary. That's why she's the leadoff hitter.
Yes, yes.
She fell behind in that initial at-bat until she got her pitch. Now she's ahead 2-1.
Another one that she had a good eye on, started and held back.
The leadoff batter has been on in each of the first 2 innings for the Mets. And now it's 3-1 to Stoddard. There is ball 4, the first walk issued by Matt LaTourette.
That's why she's the leadoff batter.
And immediately the defense of Bank Chevrolet backs up with Chris Pinkham coming to the plate, the pitcher who touched them all in the less traditional sense in the first inning. Even the first baseman, Burke, played well behind Stoddard. She'll have a chance to have a nice lead after the pitch is thrown. Now, first pitch, strike one. LaTourette gets ahead. Eli Boyle, the catcher, is on deck. Swinging a foul back. Well, let's go back to that at bat because Pinkham just found the gap between left field and center field. Now, Stoddard was on her way. There was no doubt she was going to score, but when the cutoff throw wasn't handled cleanly, the opportunistic Pinkham just kept on trucking around the bases.
Yeah. And he was waved on by the coach, which he follows instructions well.
And the 0-2 swung on, hit high in the air, and deep to center field. Pinkham is going all the way around. There's the traditional home run.
Yes.
Over the center field wall, a 2-run shot, and Pinkham gives the Mets their first lead. It's 4-2.
I said last inning, or the first inning, that he's known for his home runs, and there it is. So the kids are all scampering around, trying to find the home run ball out there.
Eli, your turn now, kid. Your turn.
So here's Eli Boyle with the bases now empty. Still nobody out. Yeah, you're right. There's a good group gathering around trying to dig that baseball out of the the trees and bushes over there near the center field flagpole. There's strike one. Now we go back to what we talked about in the first inning with these pitchers, their ability to not let it bother them and just get right back to work.
Yes. Yep.
Strike two.
And fired it in for a second strike. He's so that's all right. That's passed. Let's focus on the new batter.
Three straight strikes. So Boyle is out as LaTourette, almost pitching angry to get a measure of revenge, has his 6th strikeout of the game. And there's one away in the third for Gus Hirschfeld, who was called out on strikes. He's the cleanup hitter for the Mets. Another strike. Is it just me, or does LaTourette look like he has a new mission? Since
No, it's not you. Yeah. I think he's has it in his eyes now. He says, I've got to control a lot more from the mound.
And control he has.
Yes.
2 outs now for Sam Pratt. Struck out his first time.
I always tell the players too, the pitchers especially, is that you can't control what goes on behind you. So you do your job. Everybody has a role on the team.
That one caught a piece of the batter. Or to hit the bat. I didn't even react. Tell you what, I'd still be down on the ground writhing in pain, Gary. I'm not going to lie. Sam Pratt
I'm with you on that one, Mike.
So Pratt just shakes it off, says, okay, I'll take first. And here's Jack Philbrick. He had a single in the stolen base in the second inning.
Jack Philbrick was one that was in the Hilliker Cup game last year as well for the Marlins.
High ball one. One on, 2 out. Now it's 2 balls and no strikes. I think they finally found that baseball from
Yes.
the undergrowth. So a souvenir has been obtained.
Yes.
Swinging strike there makes
Most
it 2-1.
usually one of them brings it to the dugout and gives it to the child so they can take home. Remembrance.
Chris Pinkham's already had a pretty memorable Hilliker Cup, and we're not even halfway through the game. There's strike 2. La Tourette makes it a 2-2 game. Pinkham has been the pitcher for the Mets, and he's driven in all 4 of their runs in this 4-2 game, bottom of the 3rd. Pratt at first base after being hit by a pitch. Here's the 2-2. It's fouled away left side.
Didn't come near us, Mike. We're okay.
It was too close for my comfort, Gary. I forgot where I was ducking behind you. So as long as you tell me it wasn't near us, I take your word for it.
Like I told you earlier, I'll try to be cat-like quick. Didn't bring my glove, though.
2-2, high, 3-2, runner goes, and there will be no throw. Pratt is in standing up with a stolen base. So a single could score a run, runner on second, 2 outs, and a 3-2 count on Jack Philbrick. La Tourette is ready. Struck him out on what would have been ball 4. So a break for La Tourette, who needed one after earlier in the inning, giving up a 2-run homer to Pinkham. So after 3 innings, it's now the Davison, Toll, Morrill, and Everett Mets 4 and Bank Chevrolet 2 here in the 2011 Hilliker Cup Championship game. Halfway through the Hilliker Cup Championship game, it is a 4-2 Mets lead, and Chris Pinkham on the mound with the advantage for the first time this morning. He'll face Gabe Tobin leading things off for Bank Chevrolet, and strike 1 the count. Tobin is all for 1. He popped to short in the first inning. He was the first out of the first inning, and since that time, Pinkham has been in full command. He's retired 9 in a row.
Gabe's had 1 home run already this season, and he's been their 4th batter, Coach Haywood had told me, all throughout the whole season.
It's a 1-1 count. Swing and a miss. Mets made changes in the outfield. In fact, all 3 outfielders, new players in left field. Now Brett Stoddard. Mitchell Mullen is in center field. And Gavin Soper is in right. And those will be the 3 batters in the bottom half of this 4th inning. Now it's a 1-2. High and away, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, for Banks right now, Gary, it's get on base any way you can just to end this run right now that Pinkham has put together.
Interesting things about the substitutes is that they cannot go in until the player that they're substituting has had at least 1 up the bat and played 6 defensive outs. So a lot of strategy in Little League Baseball as well. And that's fair to all the players, so they get a chance to get their roll in and get their at least 1 up at bat.
A 3-2 pitch. Solid shot into center field. There is a base hit. Gabe Tobin, a leadoff single in the top of the fourth for Bank Chevrolet, and maybe that will change the momentum back to the Concord Northeast team.
We'll have to see. That's Little League Baseball is always interesting. Back and forth, a lot of games.
Colin Maloney now represents the tying run at the plate. Maloney struck out his first time.
He's the son of Coach Fred Maloney.
So Tobin at first base, nobody out. Pinkham's 1-0. Gets the called strike. I imagine Maloney, now that he's seen one, will be more aggressive. 1-1 the count. Harrison Hassel will be on deck looking for his first at-bat, one of the substitutes you were just talking about. Oh, that was right at home plate.
Wow.
That ball just went right into the ground and didn't move.
Yes.
But the base runner, smart play, go until the umpire says don't.
Yeah. And the umpire, Mick Lacasse, is watching to see if it would roll. Did not, so it was foul.
I cringe at the thought of how many major league players would not have run on that pitch. Good job by Maloney. Behind in the count, though, 1-2. And there is strike three. 1 out. 9 strikeouts for Chris Pinkham. So Harrison Hassel, the left fielder, comes up for the first time. What a spot. Right, here it is, the Hilliker Cup, and your team is down 2 runs. Welcome to the game. You try to figure out Chris Pinkham. There's ball 1. Nice play by Boyle to keep it from getting to the backstop.
And he did on the first pitch, realized it was outside, and didn't even make an attempt to swing, which was good.
1-0. That evens things at a ball and a strike. One and 2 now. Both corner infielders are in, third baseman in particular. First baseman now comes in as well. It's Hirschfeld at third and Philbrick at first for the Mets. The 1-2. Got a piece. Fouls it back. It seems all these hitters are so anxious to make contact that that high fastball is too good to pass up.
Yes, I've seen it many times in my career, Mike. They just want to get on base so bad, and we tell them patience, patience, but some of them just won't have the patience.
So it's another 1-2 from Pinkham. A little bit away.
Some of the strategy comes out here in tournament time, where some teams have their batters take the first pitch and wait, and that of course will drive up the pitch count a little bit too.
Strike 3 on the outer half. Big pitch by Pinkham. 2 outs. So the leadoff single by Tobin threatens to go by the boards here. Let's see what Ryan Martell can do. Martell 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Tobin still over at first base with 2 down.
I get the third baseman moving in, anticipating a bunt.
Well, Martell poses a challenge of a smaller strike zone. 1 ball, no strikes. Lays off that high one that gets away from Boyle, and alertly moving up to second base is Tobin. That's the first runner to get to second base since the first inning for Bank Chevrolet, which trails 4-2.
I've seen a lot of backup from the Mets, which is good. It gets everybody involved with the game, Mike.
Strike called.
Some of the kids say, "Oh, I'm playing outfield. I'm not getting much action." But if you're backing up plays, backing up bases, you're moving around. You're all important part of the action.
3-1 the count. And what makes that, I think, even more impressive is because of all these strikeouts in a row, sometimes the fielders have a tendency to not be as focused. But
Exactly. And so that gets them involved in the game, and it's good baseball.
now the count is full on Martell, 3-2 with Gabe Tobin at second base and 2 outs here in the 4th. Stays alive, fouling back the payoff.
Interesting event today, the Concord High School baseball team and the finals, and some of those players went through the Hilliker Cup game here that year, back in 2004, 2005.
There we go. All right, guys.
Pinkham wins the battle with Martell on a 3-2 pitch, strikes him out swinging, so he's able to shrug off the leadoff single as Banks no runs, 1 hit, and they left a man at second base. We're through 3.5 in the 2011 Hilliker Cup Championship game.
A little history of the Hilliker Cup, Mike, is that this started in 1972. And this is for Paul Hilliker. He was a 13-year-old boy here in Concord that died in a tragic accident up in West Concord, actually in the house where I live right now. And so his parents decided to start this tournament in memory of him, and had all 4 of the leagues come and participate in this tournament, which was it's been carrying on since 1972, and I'm happy to be part of it every year.
40th anniversary then, next year.
Yes. Last year on my team, I had the nephew of Paul Hilliker play for me, he is still playing, and he was actually won it as a 10-year-old, Ben Namando. So it was exciting for him and his mom, which was a sister to Paul.
That's remarkable. Tying it all together, Gary Ford joining me, Mike Murphy. It's Mitchell Mullen at the plate, a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Now 1-2 after he chased that one from Matt LaTourette. First at bat for Mullen, who came in to play center field for Michael Feltham in the 3rd inning. And there is strike 3, 1 away.
Well, Tourette came out, and he's focused once again, Mike. And
on the topic of pitching, you made note of this off the air, though, that the Mets have some action in the bullpen.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Left-hander Jack Philbrick is now throwing. Perhaps we'll see him in the 5th. Fine job by Chris Pinkham, to be sure. Here is Brett Stoddard getting her first at bat, and there's a ball. I actually called a strike, 0-1.
Always want to have a backup, too, because of the pitch count. If you get to 85, like I said earlier, you have to come out of the game and go into another position.
Swing and a miss. So do you think now, since we can speculate that Pinkham would be back out for the 5th, and this is
probably
safety valve?
Most pitches, if the kid's doing well, will make them last until 85, especially in a final game.
3-pitch strikeout for LaTourette.
Just the screen's not working.
That's 10 strikeouts for the Bank Chevrolet right-hander. So he's pitched very well. Instead, though, he finds himself trailing 4-2 here in the 4th. As Gavin Soper comes up for the first time, number 9 batter. Strike 1 to him. Second time that it's been 7-8-9 for the Mets against LaTourette. 0-2 the count, and in the 2nd inning he had 7-8-9, 3 consecutive strikeouts. That followed a leadoff single. And now he seems to be on the brink of his finest inning yet. No balls and 2 strikes on Soper. Overthrew that one a bit, 1-2. Not a bad idea, as many of the kids are chasing after that pitch today.
Yes. That's sometimes a little league strategy. If they're swinging at the high ones and you have 2 strikes on somebody, you might want to try a high one down the pike and see what happens.
There is strike 3. So the first 1-2-3 inning turned in by LaTourette here today, and see if that will buoy the offense to spark in the 5th. We're through 4, and the score remains the Mets 4, Bank Chevrolet 2 in the 2011 Hilliker Cup Championship game. Top half of the 5th inning, a 4-2 lead for the Mets. Bank Chevrolet looking to chip away at Chris Pinkham as Andrew Haggett leads off. And Haggett will look at strike 1. It's his first at-bat. He entered in right field for Chris Fields, who struck out in his lone at-bat. Trying to bunt his way aboard, sent it straight back into the screen, so it's 0-2. 11 strikeouts for Chris Pinkham through 4. And 11 strikeouts for Matt LaTourette through 4. Make it 12 as Haggett is out. One away here in the 5th as Josh Adams comes up. He struck out his first time. We're getting to the late innings now,
Yes,
Gary. Now
yes.
the pressure starts to mount with each passing at bat.
Yeah. This game has moved right along here in the last few innings, Mike.
I don't know if the team starts to acknowledge they're down to their final 5 outs when they're trailing by 2. Ball 1 inside, and as you speculated, Pinkham is back out there, even though Philbrick, who's still at first base, is now warmed up.
I know as a manager and coach, you don't breathe until that final out comes in that 6th inning.
And then they get a chance to hold on to the trophy, the Hilliker Cup, which
Yes.
is a brand new one. You said,
Brand
right?
new this year. The other one wore out and got filled up with names.
Inside, 2-1. So does that mean you get to keep the old one? That's the last
the
champion?
league has it. The
Oh,
league
okay.
league's going to keep it.
I was trying to see and the Ford mantle. Well, whichever team gets to that victory lap, at that point I'll be asking what the emotions are, because that is
Yes.
a tradition as fine as any in Concord, that lap with the trophy all around
Yes.
Grapponi Park. 2-2 the count on Adams, trying to get a board from Matt Burke, the top of the order on deck.
2, 4, 6, 8.
Strikes out swinging. The Chris Pinkham story continues here. He's
And
through
it-
4 2/3 now.
And it's a Little League baseball. It's a kid's game. The kids do it all out there. You just put them in the positions and try to coach them, encourage them, and teach them the right skills they need. But once game time comes, they're in control. So,
And Matt Burke is evidence of that. He has retired 14 of the last 15 hitters he's faced. Only a Gabe Tobin 4th inning single to break the rhythm of strikeouts he's pieced together. 0-2 on Burke, who singled and scored in the first and struck out in the third. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The changeup finally
yes.
works. A called third strike. He strikes out the side for the 3rd time in 5 innings here this morning. On to the bottom of the 5th we go. It's the Mets 4 and Bank Chevrolet 2 in the 2011 Hilliker Cup Championship game. Bottom half of the 5th inning, and Isabel Stoddard in a familiar spot leading off an inning. Looks at strike 1 from right-hander Matt LaTourette. And Stoddard, all she's done, single and score on a home run in the first, walk and score on a home run in the third. That's away. 2 balls and a strike and the home run, both times, courtesy of the on-deck batter Chris Pinkham.
the field looks excellent out there, Mike. It's all run by volunteers. The whole operation here, all volunteer.
You should be proud of your association, as I know you are, with
Yes.
the Concord American League for putting on this event. It's 3-1 on Stoddard. Biggest inning of the game for LaTourette, no doubt. His team is down 4-2, can't afford to really fall much more behind, and this has been part of the order that's had his number. Ground ball to short, takes a nice hop from Maloney. Throw to first base, got her.
Nice play.
Solid ground ball off the bat of Stoddard, but Colin Maloney, a very good play. And the strong throw across to Burke, and that all-important first out brings us to Chris Pinkham. First inning, he went all the way around inside the park style, and then in the third, got a hold of a pitch and smashed it over the center field wall for a 2-run home run, and that's why it's a 4-2 ball game. Fouled this one off the left foot.
Yeah. Kept walking around a little bit. As a manager, when you see that happen to one of your players, your heart sinks a little bit, especially your pitcher that game.
Said foot, but perhaps it caught him in the calf as he was massaging that calf momentarily. He seems to be okay, though. Right back in the
Yep,
box.
he's back at it again here.
Swing and a high fly ball to right field. And this one will fall right in front of Haggett. Rounding first base on his way to second, where he'll pull up with a stand-up double, is Chris Pinkham, his third hit in his many at-bats in this game. Salat Tourette, the good news is he keeps him in the park.
Yes.
Now he's got to deal with Eli Boyle, and he's done well against Boyle so far, who has grounded back to the pitcher and struck out. Pinkham, the threat to run at second. Swing and a miss. And here comes the catcher, Wisely. Haywood just running it back to the mound. Last thing you want, Coach, is for him to start throwing it around the diamond here unless he has to.
That's what sometimes, a lot of times the runners will try to do, is to force that to happen.
And there's strike two. You know, if we can get a shot at second base, the difference in Little League from 10-year-old to 12-year-old is pretty well on display. When you look at Ryan Martell of Banks standing next to Chris Pinkham of the Mets, you know, that's the beauty of it. You see him grow up here on the diamond. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. The pitch. Fouled back.
And it's always exciting to see, Mike, is have your returning players come back and see what a difference between seasons. And some of them come out and they just have a breakout season and grow a few inches, a little bit stronger, throw the ball harder, hit the ball harder.
That one's outside. Runner goes halfway this time to draw a throw. And wisely, Haywood throws to third just to try to keep Pinkham at second. And you don't know when you're going to get your chance to be in this game. You could be a 10-year-old who never gets back. You could be the 12-year-old who's waited.
Yeah,
1-2 on Boyle, 1 out. And Pinkham at second base here in the 5th. He struck him out. 2 outs for Gus Hirschfeld, the cleanup batter and third baseman.
And it's these are the 2 out of 15 teams in the city that all want that chance to get here. So
a long road just to get to this point. And
that's right.
It's going to be heartbreaking for whoever loses, and just the jubilation of winning is basically unmatched. Here's Hirschfeld. Strike 1. Throw to third base again. It's cat and mouse again from Pinkham.
Oh yeah. The Mets are very aggressive on the bases.
Swing and a miss. Tourette already struck out 15 batters. One of the finest efforts, perhaps, that you'll ever see in a team that may not win the game.
Yes. Exactly, Mike.
0-2 count, 2 outs, Pinkham at second after his 1-out double. Outside, here comes the throw to third base, and he slides in under the tag. The throw appeared to get there before the runner, but heads
up. He is just sent back. Evidently, he left too early, Mike. Plate umpire Mick Lacasse determined that because you cannot steal until the ball goes past the batter.
So a big play, big call that goes in favor of Bank Chevrolet. Tourette refocuses on the hitter, Hirschfeld. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And there is his 16th strikeout in 5 innings of work for the Mets. No runs, 1 hit, and they leave a runner at second. Last chance for Bank Chevrolet, the Concord Northeast champions. They trail here in the 2011 Hilliker Cup Championship game by a score of 4-2 after 5. A lot of changes for the Mets as we go to the 6th inning here. None more important than on the mound, where the former first baseman, Jack Philbrick, is now the pitcher, and Chris Pinkham, after a sparkling 5 innings of work, is now the shortstop. Leading things off for Bank Chevrolet's Connor Haywood takes ball 1. Now we have a new first baseman as well. That's Gus Hirschfeld. And the new third baseman is Sam Pratt. Not that it's unheard of to play all these different positions, because that's what Little League Baseball is all about.
Little League Base, yes. All about, Mike.
It's 2-0 on Haywood, who walked, stole a base, and scored in the first when Banks had their 2 runs. They need 2 here in the 6th to stay alive. Now let me give you the line on Chris Pinkham and then correct what I said about Matt LaTourette, because both have been marvelous, but want to stay as accurate as possible for a change. And the 3-0 is a strike. In his 5 innings of work, Pinkham allowed 2 runs on 3 hits. The 2 runs and 2 of the 3 hits were in the first inning. Walked just 1 batter and struck out 14.
Wow.
There's strike 2 as Philbrick has fought back from 3-0 to make it 3-2 on Haywood. There is ball 4, and Haywood draws the walk. Now Matt LaTourette, in his 5 innings of work, if he doesn't come out for a 6th, 4 runs allowed on 5 hits, he walked 1 and struck out 13 batters. That doesn't sound like the line of a losing pitcher. 13 strikeouts in 5 innings. Takes ball 1.
This has been a phenomenal game, Mike. Both sides.
LaTourette, a 2-run single in the first inning to help his own cause. He struck out in his other at-bat. Hard hit ball, but he pulled it foul.
Get ready, guys.
Not all strikes sound alike, Gary. That's strike 1. That's what we can say about that. 1-1 the count.
Get ready, guys.
It's a tying run, Matt LaTourette. 2 balls and a strike. If you're Banks, you have the men coming up who you want coming up. The 2, 3, and 4 hitters here in the 6th inning. And the 2-1 is swung on, hit well to deep center field. It's over the head of the center fielder Mullen, up against the wall. Haywood digging into third base. He's being waved around. Here's the throw to the plate, the slide. He's out at home. LaTourette moves to third base, but what defensive work by the Mets to get the out at the plate, Gary.
Yeah.
You had to execute everything perfectly, and they did it.
Yeah.
You can't fault.
That was a great throw by Brett Stoddard from went and got the ball and went over the center fielder's head and got it and chucked it back in. And
Gabe Tobin fouls one back. We said it earlier. You've got to execute defensively. You've seen the Mets play defense all year.
And they're one of the best out there, and that's a trademark as well as good hitting, good pitching is their defense.
And there's a drive to center field. This one's way back there, and it is caught on the warning track by Mullen. Tagging up is LaTourette. He will score to make it a 1-run ball game, but what a play in center field by Mullen. And now Banks, which is hitting the ball as well as it has all game, is down to its last out. RBI for Tobin, the sac fly, and it's a 1-run ball game as Colin Maloney is the hitter. Strike 1 from Philbrick. Tell you what, this one has had everything you could ask for in a championship game. What else do we have left? Philbrick's pitch. Swing and a grounder, foul.
Justin, are you okay?
We came within that close of being a tie game
That's right, that's right.
And yet Banks has to try to dig deep one more time. Philbrick ahead 0-2. All 1 high. A 1-2 pitch. Ground ball to shortstop. Fielded by Pinkham. And how appropriate. The winning pitcher in the game records the final out as the shortstop as Chris Pinkham throws out Maloney. And for the first time since 1999, the Mets are champions of the Hilliker Cup, holding off Banks Chevrolet in thrilling fashion 4-3 here this morning in Concord. And now the teams have to line up for the handshake. And Gary, you've been there. What is going through the mind now? You have to shake hands, say good game, and then you know your team gets that Hilliker Cup.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal feeling, and like I said earlier, you take your breath and say, it's over with, and you're so happy for your guy. You've been together for since probably about the end of March all the way through April, May, and into June here, and you know you're the best of the city.
And there is the new Paul Hilliker Memorial Cup trophy. And the victory lap for the Davis-Toll Moreland Everett Mets, champions of the National League. Chris Pinkham had as fine a day as one can have. 2 two-run home runs, one inside the park, one over the wall, a double, 5 innings of 14 strikeout baseball, and then with the last batter, Colin Maloney, with a well-struck ground ball to shortstop, Pinkham had to make one more play, and he was able to throw him out to close out the victory for the Mets. And I know just in the dugout to our right, manager Todd Haywood has to give the speech that nobody wants to, but the words are so true, nothing to be ashamed of if you're Banks Chevrolet.
That was a well-played game, a one-run game. That's we've seen some classics here, including a 14-inning game one year. We've had blowouts too, and it's good to see a good close game. Both teams playing excellent.
So after 12 years, the Mets are once again champions of the Hilliker Cup. A special day for them. Now we have a chance to chat with the manager of the Davis-Toll Moreland Everett Mets, Greg Stoddard.
We started the season on March 30th this year with a practice down at Runlet. And Runlet was a little rough at the time, and I told the kids, you field your ground balls here, you'll be able to field them at Grapponi Park when we play later in the season. And it feels great. I've been involved in Little League in Concord for 35 or so years, and I haven't been to the Hilliker Cup before as a player or a coach, so it feels pretty good to be here, but also to win it. And the Concord American League organization does a terrific job with this. They really make the kids feel good about playing baseball and being here. So it's a very enjoyable experience.
Well, the formula is supposed to be take an early lead. You guys instead of play from behind.
Right.
Were you worried at all in going to the bottom of the first?
I was worried. The pitcher for the Banks team is a terrific pitcher. He's got great mechanics and he's throwing the ball hard. So it's tough for these guys to even get the ball on the bat, never mind score runs. So I was a little worried there, but our leadoff has been great all year. I've had Chris Pinkham in the 2 spot all year this year, and Isabel started right in front of him, and that was the 1-2 combination in that first inning that got us right back into the game. And once that happens, that's a momentum shift. Even though it's a tie game, it's a momentum shift that comes to us. And it was up and down all game, but I felt a lot better after we got that tie game.
As good an effort as Matt Latterite had on the mound for Banks, Mr. Pinkham did a pretty good job on the mound for your team.
Chris Pinkham he's an outstanding player. He on the mound, hitting the ball, obviously. The exciting play at the end of the game. He was the relay that threw the ball in home. It was a terrific throw, and it was a hard throw. So he's a terrific player. And Chris on the mound, he's not just a thrower. Chris is pitching out there. He's working his location. He's got a couple of off-speed pitches that he uses. So he's a terrific player all around, and it's great to have him on my side.
A come from behind win, a close game win, defense at the end. I mean, you couldn't really put much more together as far as satisfying wins go.
Oh, absolutely not. Very exciting. And I'm as a player, as a coach, I'm defensive oriented. So to have a play like that to basically win the game for is very exciting. Don't get me wrong. I love Pinkham's home runs and getting on base and the base hits and all that stuff. But when I can win a game with defense, it makes me proud because I focus a lot on it. I think it's an important part of the game, baseball or any sport. So we've worked hard on that and paid off for us today.
Chris, congratulations here, winning team from the Mets. Let's go from the team perspective. What does it mean for you guys as a group to win this Hilliker Cup?
It means a lot to us. All the 12-year-olds on our team, it's their last year, and they got a chance to win the Hilliker Cup. So it's a great feeling for all of us.
How'd you feel on the mound today, especially knowing early on they got a couple runs against you?
Early on, I was nervous a little bit, but then I got into my groove and finished it off. Did pretty good. But I have to give credit to my teammates for doing a great job.
Now, was the situation, when did the nerves start to subside and you started to feel more comfortable?
In the first inning, I felt, because I didn't know about the hitters, how good they were and what they can do. So I was a bit nervous about that, but then once I saw what they could do, then I knew what to pitch them, and I think I did a pretty good job of that.
I'd agree, pretty good job. How about the plate? First at bat, you did the hard way of going all right around the bases. Yeah. You hit the ball into the gap. When did you realize you had a chance to actually turn what might have been a double into a home run?
I didn't even know. I was just running as hard as I can, kept my head down, coach says, and I didn't even know that he's waving me around and scored, so felt pretty good about that.
I bet you felt even better about the other one because you hit one that went almost to the flagpole in center field. Did you know when you got it that you got all of it?
Yeah, when I feel it, I just have a feeling about that, and it's good. I give credit to Izzy for being on base for those critical 2 runs. That was good.
And then defensively, at the end, it wasn't easy because you got moved off the mound, had to be at shortstop. You're part of 2 pretty big plays there. Yep. How about the ball hitting to the outfield? They had to make the relay throw to the plate.
Yep, I knew what I needed to do in practice. We've been practicing that, so I was pretty confident in myself. And nice throw by Brett, and it's good.
And then right after that, how about the catch in center field?
I was pumped when he got that. I was just so enthusiastic, and I knew that we were going to win it once he caught that.
And what did it feel like to run around with that trophy in hand?
It felt amazing. I'd done it once before, but again, it feels so much better. You know what it means to the team and everyone around me.
It's a pretty good Saturday. Winning pitcher on the mound, a couple of home runs. Congratulations to you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Mike Sartorelli had to attend the Concord High graduation today, and he's been coaching third for us all year, so I was pretty nervous in the beginning of the year about stepping in, but Mike's been doing Little League baseball for years, and it's just, he got involved when his kids were playing, but he's got an absolute love for Little League baseball, and it was tough not to have him here. The kids, when they were told on the bench after the semifinal win that he wouldn't be here, they were very disappointed. He's a great guy to have around. The kids love him, and he's a very good Little League baseball coach. So we missed him today, but he's going to be very excited we get the win. He was getting text updates every half inning, so I'm sure he's excited about this, and he'll enjoy this this broadcast.
Well, Greg,
so thanks for doing that.
Congratulations to you, Mike, and the rest of the Mets.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, Coach Sartorelli!
So Mike Sartorelli could not be here to witness this one firsthand.
Go, Mets! Way to go, Chris!
But the Mets have done it again, and it's in the hands of Chris Pinkham as they finally finish that victory lap. Congratulations to Greg Stoddard, Tim Pratt, Mike Sartorelli, and all the kids from the National League champions and now the Concord Hilliker Cup champions, the Mets. Well, Gary, it's been a special day.
Yes.
Always memories are made here. We find out
yes.
who can step up, and both teams had some outstanding performances. Matt LaTourette in the losing cause. People will remember how well he pitched out there today.
Exactly.
And when the chips were down, a big double in that 6th inning that almost drove in a run. But as you go back and look at it, Connor Haywood, who had walked previously trying to score all the way from first, the relay throw executed to perfection. The tag is there, and that was the right call out at home.
Yes, exactly. That was just as a manager out there and you're coaching the bases, you don't expect those everything to come together like that all at once, and it did for the Mets, and that's why they've got a 4-3 victory right now. So.
Got to see one more defensive gem one more time, because the center fielder Mitchell Mullen had just had a ball go over his head moments earlier. He didn't start the game, in-game substitution. Next thing you know, the ball finds him again when Gabe Tobin tags one to deep center. But this time, on the warning track, makes a catch that can go under the category of game saving. What an inning.
Exactly. One of the other emotions that came up through the kids we experienced last year was afterwards, and after doing the run around, getting back in the dugout, doing the post-game speech. The kids want more. we want to face somebody else, Coach.
No doubt. And a team that probably feels it can't be beaten right now, and the Mets were not beaten today, and so they are the champions. They'll pose for their official team picture at home plate. So a jubilant championship team, the Davis and Toll, Morrill and Everett Mets in the Concord National League. Gary Ford, a pleasure working with you, my friend. It was
pleasure working with you, Mike, as well.
We thank Dave Hand and Hands on Video for this production. Certainly keep an eye out for it on Concord TV, and make sure you get your own DVD to live these memories again and again. For the entire gang, Acropony Park in Concord, for Coach Gary Ford, Dave Hand, this is Mike Murphy thanking you for tuning in to the 2011